not good news. Got everything out and all. Got a dent in the engine mount, which that's not going to hurt a thing. Luckily, no pan damage, nothing like that. That could have been, you know, possible, so got real lucky. Alright, so bottom mount's done. This is our top mount, one that we built for that other differential. And it looks like this bracket is just bent all to, well, HE double hockey sticks. So I guess I'll get this off of it, and then we'll see what we're gonna have to do to hopefully we can get it back straight and do some measuring and stuff. Maybe even find another frame to do some measurements off of to try to get it where I need it. So anyway, we'll figure that out. And there's our ground. I got to ground. I still got to ground this wire right here. That's up here. I guess it's different. Must be different from, because I think this wiring harness come off of like a 4500 truck with a Duramax, and this is of course a 3500 or a 3500 I guess it is. So we'll just have to ground it somewhere else. We'll ground it anywhere. It don't matter. Ground's ground. So anyway, that's the oil sending unit that was I replaced, and right here is the low oil sensor. And like I said before, I don't know why all this daggone Permatex is around the bottom of this pan. It bothers me. I'm going to figure that out. If that's something that somebody did for the heck of it, it's one thing, but if there's a leak there, we don't, I mean, we want to change I got more covers, I can change that. But it's nice to have a few extra parts for these things anyway. So let's get this last part out of there somehow, some way, and then we'll go from there. I guess we'll just try to bend it back and see what happens. So I don't think we can make it any worse, but it's definitely out of place. And here's all the parts and pieces. A couple of the parts was in the back, but a lot of the stuff was still in it. You know what kind of surprises me is our bracket that we had to build for the other one is not broke off of the case. The whole case is broke, but that's not broke off. So that comes because this was a different, the damage wasn't coming in from the side. It was actually probably a twisting damage, torque damage. So here's what we got to deal with. There's not much good left on this one, that's for sure. They got the best of it, but what gets me is the way that pinion looks. As ate up and dented as that was, how long did they drive this thing? I mean, they had to drive it a long time for this to actually finally lock up and break the pinion shaft. And that's what started it all right there, when that pinion broke. But them bearings had to be locked for a long time. You can see the heat in it. And the way this rusted, it's from heat. So anyway, terrible. Just terrible. But there ain't no putting this one back together. So if anybody wants to know why I didn't use this case, there you go. So now we're going to deal with this bent bracket. And I'm not sure how we're going to do it. Let me get my new CV joint and I'll show you why I bought it for $40 instead of worrying about the boot on this one, or fixing this one. Okay, here's the one I took out for $40. You know, you can see it hadn't been in, or it wasn't in long enough for it to even start rusting bad, so I knew it was a pretty new model, so I figured we'd just go ahead and swap it out. It's an easy swap when you got the front end out, because you don't have to pull any of the ball joints or anything. Just got to take off the sway bar bushing bolt right here. So we take it off and then it'll clear, or we can take the shock off and make it clear. Either one, it don't matter, but it will clear, and then we can stick the new one on. It's pretty easy. And then one less thing to worry about, because that boot would just, when you get a boot like that, it just, the centrifugal force just slings all the grease out. It's going to leak out, it's going to go bad. I mean, so you have to fix it. I mean, there is boots for them, but they're a pain in the butt to put on, so for that money, what the heck. I mean, the boot probably cost me $30. So alright, let me get back at this thing, and we're going to have to see what we can do about straightening that out. I really would love to know if that bracket is supposed to be exactly straight out. I'm guessing it probably is. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Okay folks, I'll show you what we're doing here, or what I've done, and how far off we are. So I put two 9/16 bolts, long ones, in here so I could get a measurement, and I pretty much got a measurement of right at 14.5 outside to outside on these bolt holes, and that's for the mounts for this differential. So let's check the truck. Okay, so we know it's bent, we know it's a long ways off, but I want to see how far off. And all I got to do is measure from the outside of that hole to the outside of what this is supposed to be, this hole, this zone. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to stick it on 14.5 down here. Maybe. Let me see. So get a little more organized here. There's 14.5. Or I can stick it on the bolt. Come down here and it's almost 16. To where we need 14.5 exactly. So that's how far forward all this is pushed. So that goes back to, I think it needs to be back exact center, but I can get this back far enough, and I can do it by just that one measurement to get me perfect to where I can get that front end in. So I'm not worried about that a bit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run something from this bolt, and I'm going to run it back and to that cross member right there, and I will start putting some force on it, and then maybe, worst comes to worst, we may have to heat it up a little bit, but I think that we can pull this thing back and get it into place. It's going to bend before anything behind it on that cross member is going to bend, so we'll see what happens. I like using wreckers and stuff like that to do stuff like this, but sometimes you just gotta try to come up with something, and I don't have a come along, but we're going to find something here. I don't even think I got a chain fall. That's bad. But I can borrow one from Charlie or something. We'll figure it out. Alright. Okay, so we got a chain binder, ratchet style, on here. And as you can see, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm pulling hard on it. And it's moving a little bit. I moved it about a 1/4 inch. But I've got to heat it. No way around it. I do have some oxygen now, so I can heat it up here close and bring it in. And we're just going to do it until it's measured out 14.5. And stays there, and that's where we're going to leave it. So anyway, there you go. What a mess, right? I'm pulling off of the main cross member back there with the torsion bar on it instead of the transmission cross member, because it's not a transmission cross member is not nearly as strong. So and then I did notice that this piece right here is a safety piece, so if your motor mount breaks, it grabs. This is supposed to be straight down. So when we're done, we're going to bend that back so it don't rattle. I'm afraid that's what it's going to do with it. Metal to metal here that ain't supposed to be. And that's not an issue, the bend up end, that's just a brace. So we'll keep working at this. I've got some pressure on it right now, and it's slowly moving, but it's just not coming very fast at all. So it's pretty rough. So we'll see if we can heat it a little bit and get it to come without bending or without breaking, actually. But if we can get that and get this front end up in, everything will go quick. All right, folks. I don't know how straight it looks on camera, but it measured out perfect. So we're going to try it. Hopefully we can get it in. These holes have got a little bit of a waller to them too, so that tells me that their engineering is not exactly right. But anyway, rubber mounts too. So we're going to see if it'll fit, if it'll go in. It may or may not. We'll go from there. I think I need to do my CV joint first here, in case it does fit in. Ooh, that ain't good. Grease shooting out. Okay, folks, I came a long ways without filming. And I had some friends show up here and there and stuff, and I just kept right on working. And I didn't do any filming, but I do have the axle up in. As you can see, my homemade part, everything went in good. I did have one little bit of a clearance issue that I had to work on, which I was able to do without taking it back down. And that was about it. We've got it all hooked up. We got our new CV joint in, CV joint axle, half shaft, whatever you want to call it. Everything's hooked up good, and we are, let me see, we got the wiring ran for the four-wheel drive. Still don't have a good fuse in it, and I probably won't put one in, at least until we get the drive shaft in. Gotta get new U-joints for it. The drive shaft that came out of the truck that this came out of, the truck had a 6-liter with a 4L80 transmission, so it was 2 inches shorter. So I guess this Allison's 2 inches longer. So that's that, and you can see the plate up in there, everything. It went in and worked out really well. It actually went in a whole lot easier, a lot better than I thought it was going to. I thought with it being bent, I said, you know, here's a, you know, can of worms again. But, you know, it all worked out in the end. So now I'm going to keep playing with it a little bit, and probably, I'm not going to get it all finished. I'm going to go ahead and get the wheel on it. I want to drive it down the road real quick and just check it out. Just a short run and back. All right. Okay, folks, now we're going to finish this thing up. Got a lot of the wiring done. Went through and taped over everything that was just, the covers was bad on. I've got some plastic covers we'll probably put on. It looks like a mess of wires there, doesn't it? But anyway, the inner fender well goes on, and this on the inside of it, but we've got everything pretty much covered. Not all of it, but most of it. Our ABS light is off, which is a good thing. No problem there. And we've got our 5 wires here we got to run up and hook in. Now my main issue, and the main thing I want to do, is keep wires away from that steering shaft. That steering shaft has got a bolt in it, and anytime you get a round shaft with a bolt like that, it'll grab something in a minute and try to rip it, you know, and twist it up. So that's why these wires, I want to make sure I was nowhere near there. And we're going to go ahead and get them ran, get this cleaned up a little bit, and make pressure wash in here a little bit before we put the cover on. But then we're going to get the inner fender well back in, and this will be pretty much wrapped up, taken care of. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the U-joints in, and that will cover us for that. I believe that's about it besides washing it, and we're going to do a bed swap on it, but we're going to do that later. We've got a perfect, when I say perfect, I mean an absolutely perfect red bed without the flares. We'd have to bolt the flares on. But it's actually on a truck that I sold. There's no motor and transmission in the truck, or engine transmission. And I sold it to a friend of mine, and we'll try to buy it back from him, or buy the bed back, or work something out. And I don't think it's going to be an issue, because I'm willing to pay him a little more than I sold it to him for, because I wouldn't expect him not to make a profit. So I'd never even begin to think I'd ever need it. But so we're going to get to bed. Like I said, the bed's dented on the other side too. So, but if we do that, that's going to leave very little cab damage, which I'll show you. I've got all the parts for the lights and the front grille and all that stuff. That's not an issue. All it's going to leave us with is this problem right here, which is pretty bad, but you know, I can live with it. We'll probably just leave it that way. And for anybody that's wondering, this is, like I said, 2005, and it is a Duramax. It is an Allison, and it's a 4-door. It's a long bed. It does have a, I'll show you, this little, and well, gooseneck ball in the back. Electric brakes, 250,000 miles, and you've seen the issues that it had now that we've fixed, and I gave $2,500 for it. So that's what I was saying, that it's hard to get hurt when you do a deal like that. We're gonna get it washed up here in a little bit and go ahead and get the drive shaft in, stuff in, while I'll show it to you. All right, folks, we're gonna put some brand new Moog joints in it because I don't like cheap joints. And then we're going to get this thing back together and get it in the truck. Then you gonna CAT scan it? Yep. All right, folks, got the new joints in, greased, ready. Well, that one's greased. I don't grease that one. You can't grease it until you get it in. Once you get it in, so you don't push the caps off, then you can grease it. so far so good. We're gonna get her in there and see if we can. I know we got full drive in the front end because when we hit the full drive I couldn't turn the yoke, so I tested that, so I know the front end's kicking in. I just don't know if the transfer case is or not, so we'll have to see if we got full drive. All right. Okay, folks, got everything finished up and it's working good. I got the inner fender well back in, cleaned it up a little bit. I'm probably gonna take some spray paint or undercoat and paint some on that frame a little bit. I don't know if the paint got burned off or what from the fire, but a little bit of it anyway. So it's not that important really here like it would be up north because it's not going to rust anyway here. But anyway, that's done. We've still got, I'm going to buy a new grill for it. I've got a used grill. It's got, you know, it's not exactly perfect, but I want a nice new shiny grill. And I'm going to buy the new grill and we're going to clean up the headlights and the lights, and I got to replace one light on the other side. Anyway, here's what we got. We got a $2,500 truck. I bought a $100 front axle. As you can see, I had to do some work to fix it. I bought $40 CV joint used. It looked like new, but it was used. Bought a $40 worth of U joints. So what's that bring us to? $2,680. So $2,700. You know, by the time I done the other little stuff, I don't think I bought anything else, but so you know, 2,700 bucks. I've got a really nice running, and the four-wheel drive's working. I've got, you know, drive shafts in it. I've done tested it. Now we've got a really nice, or what I look at is a nice 3,500 single tire, 1-ton Duramax diesel 4-door, and we've got a, you know, a gooseneck ball in the back, and for 2,700 bucks, that runs and drives really good. So honestly, the engine's worth more than that, and that's a good running engine. So there's still deals out there. You just got to be willing to take chances. And you know, I had to go into this looking at, hey, it might be fixable, and no, it might not be. You know, depending on what it takes, you know, I could always part it out. I could have pulled the engine, sold the engine, and still made a little bit of money off of it. But the reason I'm telling you what I gave for this truck and stuff is because I really don't have any intentions to sell it. I'm gonna sit on it and run it. So, all right, I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll update you later on the bed, and I got different rims I'm gonna put on it, which are still original Chevrolet rims. I just don't like these rims, and I've got a brand new set of tires that I bought for my other truck that I'm gonna put onto here. So I'd never mounted them, thank goodness. So this is my new personal ride. So anyway, appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.